Okay, so we're going to continue, I believe, with the quantum work today. But first, there's a topic that's been showing up that just showed up in meditation. So if you'll take a nice deep breath into your belly and your back and exhale. So, what's showing up for me today is this contemplation of what we do in relationships and the expectations that we put on relationships at the avoidance or the inability to really see the other person's nature. I do work with hundreds of couples now. And I was recently on a walk with a former client and friend of mine. And we were talking about partnership. And she had all these ideas of what her partnership was supposed to be or look like, or how it needs to grow into, or what the potential of the relationship is. And I'm always kind of flabbergasted at this kind of idea of moving into potential, or having the other person rather move into their potential. Because that's a fancy way of saying I have an expectation for someone to be different than they are. And I have this positive view, which will be translated into a fantasy. I have a fantasy of this other person, and I'm not willing or able to see their nature, who and how they are in the present moment, and accept what is. Which is fascinating because, especially in the spiritual space, there's a lot of bypassing of what is. And while I was in meditation today, I was kind of laughing at how low my expectations are in my marriage, which is what allows me to be happy in my marriage. I don't expect a lot. I mean, after 27 years together. So it wasn't on day one. I mean, the first 10 years we were fighting to make each other different. So I'm not suggesting it wasn't a bumpy path to here, but at some point there's a surrender to stop making the other person different than they are, and truly looking at, what am I working with here? And this is where Ayurveda is such a gift, right? It's like if I'm married to a bird and I'm expecting a lion, at some point I need to just see the nature of the person so I can finally let go of the expectation that they're going to be any different. And it's in the release of that expectation that that person can then up level in the relationship, which is just so fascinating, right? As long as we're vested in something being different, we hold it in that resistance. We hold it exactly where it is. So this has been also my work. It's a little bit harder for me with relationship to my three daughters and their potential, right? So I've worked this in my marriage, but there's also the next place of, what is their nature? How do I accept that nature? How do I work with that nature? How do you really, how are we able to see the nature of the people in our lives? And again, Ayurveda really gives us that map. And my kids have been really fascinating because they grew up with the Ayurvedic wisdom, not really knowing that it's Ayurveda, but just being like, oh, well, they have a lot of air in their constitution. They're going to be distracted and have anxiety and not be able to sit down and look me in the eyes. It's not about me. It's about their birdness. So to actually be able to see the nature of the people that we're with and to be able to love that exactly how it is without needing them to change. And likewise, if someone has an expectation on me to be different, I trust the law of resonance. Maybe you don't like lions. Maybe lions don't really feel good to you. I totally honor that. Lions are tough to be around. Kind of got some zebra blood dripping from our mouth and sharp claws and some fire that comes. I mean, that's not comfortable to be around. So I honor if that doesn't resonate. If I don't resonate, I honor that. So, what's it like to feel worthy and accepting enough of our own nature that we can rely on the law of resonance to not have to contort ourselves for any relationship? To truly love ourselves, but not use that as an excuse to not grow. And so that was the nature of this beach walk with this former client and friend. Like, still need to be the best bird I can be, or best lion that I can be, the best bear that I can be. And so what is the work based on the Ayurvedic doshas? The birds need to ground a little, need to get a little fire, need to talk less, maybe do more, right? So the bird's work is the bird's work. We want to balance the bird. We don't want to just be like, oh, it's a squawking bird running in circles, right? Like, so that's not very productive. So the bird needs to be the highest expression of bird. And just because I'm quick to like to blow up at someone, doesn't mean that that's okay. Even though it's my nature, I need to learn how to have equanimity and heart and generosity and groundedness as a lion. And the bears, while they always go toward comfort and not changing, their work is to learn how to be more comfortable with change, or how to be uncomfortable sometimes. Not to be a lion or a bird, but to simply be the best bear they can be. And so in my marriage and in my parenting, I'm always looking at, how do I support my Vata Pitta husband to be the most grounded, because Vata and Pitta, bird and lion, need to build grounding. How do I help support him to be more grounded so he can be the best expression of himself? How can I mirror that work through love, rather than expect him to be a totally different species? You know, in the spiritual space, we know that most of us know we're living in this hologram. Most of us know that we are creating our own reality. But this pure example of that one person that we've been wanting to change, to actually surrender that and to love what is, to truly find what love is, because most people don't know how to love. Love happens in the present moment from the overflow of the love within our own hearts. It's about seeing what's here and being able to love what is, not what could be, not what should be, what would have been, but truly being with the present moment, surrendering into that, and being able to make the choice of love, even if it's really hard. And so when I was on the walk with a friend and she was telling me about all of the shoulds of her relationship, I'm like, what relationship has all of this? And she's like, well, this person. I'm like, but didn't you tell me this shit was going on in that relationship? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, what full relationship has what you're talking about? I've been through 400 couples relationships. I've had that privilege to witness it. And what you're saying has never existed in any of the relationships that I've ever seen. But when we look at this relationship and we say, that's great, and we pick it apart and we want to choose the goodness of all the relationships around, but not look at the relationships in totality of what they are, the good, the bad, the light, the dark, the shadow, the beauty, and really be able to see, how do we love in totality, to really acknowledge the darkness in the relationship or the low vibration or the shit that's not working and celebrate that which is, to actually be able to hold space for all of it. To be able to love the human despite the shadow and the soul qualities, because of the shadow and the soul qualities. That's truly, in my opinion, what love is. And that doesn't mean be a doormat or put up with a bunch of shit that you don't want to put up with, because all of that can be spoken in truth and mirrored, and boundaries are an effect of your truths already being expressed. It's very Gen Z right now to be like, I'm holding a boundary on you. Okay, that's cool. But if your truth was here the whole time, then your boundary would have been set up in every interaction that you've had with that person, such that you don't have to put a big stop sign in their face. You will have expressed, oh yeah, that's not okay. I prefer this. Oh yeah, no, I don't want this. I'd like this. Oh yeah. And so the boundaries and your space and who you are and the definition of that was already set up by all of those mini truths that were expressed. But if you don't have your power of your truth and your worthiness in the moment, you're probably not expressing, oh, that hurt. That didn't feel okay. That didn't feel kind. Please don't talk to me like that. Oh, well, when you leave your stuff, would you mind just keeping it on your side of the room? Thank you. Those expressions of those truths are how the boundaries get set up in a compassionate and loving way. Not, I put up with a bunch of shit for 3 years and all of a sudden one day I'm like, screw you, I'm done with all of this. I mean, it's totally fine either way. I'm not saying right, wrong, good, bad, but I am trying to model, like, this is how, if we have our truth in our relationships, if we truly honor our truth in every breath. And to do that, you actually have to be connected to your body and how you feel. And you'd have to be able to process that in the moment, or loop around the next day and be like, hey, what did you mean when you said that? Such that there's you in the relationship rather than you abnegating responsibility for their truth in the relationship and then feeling barreled, or then having to put a big boundary up. So with that, we'll take that concept of our relationships and truly accepting ourselves and holding our worth and knowing who we are and being willing to speak our truth, while at the same time letting go of all of the expectation of what you should and shouldn't be, and allowing the law of resonance to really start working in our relationships. So this person was like, hey, I referred that person to you, and what happened there? And I'm like, well, I just think the way I spoke or the way I was didn't resonate with her. And she's like, well, I really wanted her to work with you. And I'm like, there wasn't resonance. But I really wanted, she got off the phone and she was very irritated with you. I'm like, that's because there wasn't resonance. So when we depend and trust resonance and don't let our ego override what we want for someone else, and we truly allow the law of resonance to sift and sort our lives so that like vibration can come in, and we're not clinging on to that which is not vibrationally resonant anymore. And it's the ego that does that. The ego says, I want that, even if it doesn't resonate. So we can trust resonance. Resonance will bring the right people in, and it will repel the right people out. So that we don't have to artificially be like, I'm done with you. The law of resonance, as long as our ego is not in there, will do that for us in the most beautiful and compassionate way that's natural and loving. But what's critical is that we know our worth and we hold it. That we speak our truth and we hold our power through the expression of truth, even if it's not heard or received the way we want it to be. It still matters. So relationships are so fascinating because It was in the meditation this morning after this just happened a week ago, this conversation, but I'm processing and processing in my body because that's how I do life. I meditate, I feel and process what happened in that relationship, what was going on for me. And so what I saw in my meditation today is this beautiful human that I married who's not my spiritual match, who's not my emotional match. He's not my therapist. He's not an old soul like me. He has helped me in the physical realm do this physical realm life, which I suck at. Being a neighbor, I'm not a very good neighbor. Being steady, I'm not steady. I'm a fireball. And being able to appreciate that he compliments and helps me through this world and feeling immense gratitude for what is there rather than focusing on all the things that may not be the same. And trusting that by focusing on what's working, that will amplify the love and the resonance. So if you will allow yourself to identify what relationship you're in resistance to, or what relationship is in resistance to you. And as you take that into meditation today, if you will, just start to connect into your heart, not having to make decisions about the relationship or having to set boundaries for the relationship. Not that boundaries are bad, but to truly be able to go into the awareness layer of the body of like, what's going on here? How does this feel? What's my truth? Where's my power? So closing your eyes, coming into your breath, breathing in, and just work on one relationship today, if you will, as you breathe into the belly, into the back, into your hips. Deep breath. Feeling your body. And in your mind's eye, just allow yourself to focus on the person, the brother, the friend, the daughter, the partner, the boss, the ex. Just breathe into your body without any expectation of what you should feel or think. If you have a positive mind, you've only been filtering for the good, and your work might be to see and feel what didn't work, what doesn't work for you. That's also a spiritual thing to focus on. And as you breathe into your back, into your belly, into your chest, slowly exhale, just letting go. Focusing now on the sacred heart space, 2 inches behind your physical heart. Breathing into that space in the sacred heart. And as you breathe into the sacred heart, connect into your soul flame, that sacred fire, that spark of the divine that lives within you, that ceaseless flame, the eternal light within you. As you breathe into that fire, allow it to amplify, fanning that flame, feeling your connection to source that you are. I am my I am presence. As you breathe into that flame, fanning that flame, connect into the sacred fire, that white light that carries all of the colors, the frequencies, and the qualities of the divine. I am my I am presence, invoking the full power of the sacred fire within my heart. Good. And as you have that flame stoked within your heart, go into the space inside your forehead, your mind's eye, and allow yourself to focus on that person, allowing yourself to visualize that being, that human being, that flawed person, that sacred person. And if you will, we're going to take them on the elevator down into the sacred heart to be able to zip off the ego presence and actually have a soul connection. So walk with that person into the glass elevator at the center of your head, the third eye, the pineal. Just imagine going into a glass elevator at the center of the head. And as you gaze down, take a deep breath and exhale, journeying that elevator down into the space of the neck. And as you and this other being pause here in the space of the neck, gaze down at the space behind the physical heart where your sacred heart cave lives. And as you breathe in, exhale and take the elevator down, down, down to the space just outside of the sacred heart cave behind the physical heart. And as you get there, exit the elevator and allow both of you to walk into that sacred heart cave, this sacred space, as you both walk up to that sacred flame, however that looks within your heart. And as you have a seat next to that sacred fire, just allow that fire to consume you and the other person, allowing the flame to melt that outer edge, the human, hardened outer space of the ego from each of you. You can see the other person unzip their human off of them and you, or simply just watch the hard outer shell get melted by the love and the power and the wisdom of the violet flame. And as the ego melts, so does all of the grudges, the expectations, and the woulda, coulda, shouldas. You can see the other person's light body. Allow yourself in this moment to just experience that person's soul. without any judgments or opinions. Feel their soul qualities, their strength or their love or their wisdom. And if you can, see all the divine beings around the other person, their guides, the light beings. And as you experience them, receive the Ho'oponopono from them. Allow them to say to you, I'm sorry. Receive this from them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Feel them say, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. And just allow yourself to release them fully and completely, forgiving and releasing as they say to you, thank you. Thank you for forgiving and releasing me. Thank you. Thank you. And now, if you will, feel their expression of love. I love you. I love you. I love you. See if you can receive that love straight into your heart. I love you. I love you. And as you breathe in, feel the light moving in the space between the two of you. Feel yourself fully releasing the karma that you held, the fear, the abandonment. Just feel that all melt away. If there's anything you want to say to their soul, allow yourself now to fully express what they weren't able to hear from their human ego. And if you'd like, offer them the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please release me. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. As you sit, feel the release and the sovereignty Just feel yourself in the I am that I am. Feel yourself in the oneness with this other person. I am you. You are me. I am that. I am that. That I am. And as you do this, feel this agreement that you have made with this other person in this lifetime to learn these lessons. Feel the higher purpose, the divine order of this relationship in your life and these lessons. Feel the reverence of the higher purpose of this relationship. You may not be able to see all of it, but see if you can trust that there's that higher order in every part of what is played out in this relationship. And if you will, call the divine now into the center of you and this other person, and allow the divine to be at the center. Orchestrating the love, the strength, the inner truths, the wisdom. Command now that the divine be at the center of this relationship, restoring the relationship to the highest expression. Feel it in your belly as you command. I am my I am presence, commanding the divine to restore this relationship to its highest expression now. And if you will, hold the violet flame in the space. And if it feels natural, give a hug, hold their hand. Begin to merge back into the elevator. Up, 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 into the mind's eye. And in the mind's eye, see yourself in a space of harmony with this person if you can. Just envision what harmony, peace, love, acceptance, surrender, care looks like in this moment. Create a snapshot of what the highest expression is. And breathe that vision into every cell in your body. Exhale it, allowing your whole body to receive what it feels like to be in the highest expression in this relationship. Take a deep breath here. And as you exhale the light into every cell, from your heart into every cell and the space around your body, seal this in, if you will, by saying, And so it is done. And so it is done.